I'm working at Bukit Vista as an online guest specialist. And tonight I'll be the moderator for the first BVE Talk. And then I will tell you a little bit, and maybe for everyone who is wondering, what is the BVE Talk itself? Okay, BVE Talk is a learning and a sharing platform where we invite the expert to join us and then to share their experience with might inspire you guys. And then we don't want to keep it the knowledge ourselves. And then many of the inspirational stories, and then we would like to share it broader through this BVE Talk. And then, well, a long short story, how we can connect with these cool people. In Bukit Vista, we are doing a professional networking. So we are looking for them, for the mentors through the LinkedIn. That's why we can connect with these mentors around the world. Okay, tonight, Bukit Vista e-talk is organized by Bukit Vista and then in cooperation with Tourism and Travel Business Program, Sekolah Vokasi Universitas Gadjah Mada. And then here we have 3 speakers from Airbnb and Uber. So the first one is, please say hi to Celine. Hi, Celine. And then the next one is Danita Lebloy. Hi, Danita.
Hello.
And then the last one is Mohammed El Waziri. And hi, Was. Is Was coming?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hi. Hi, Was. Okay. And I also invite Mr. Dr. Nuryuda Indana MP as a head of tourism and travel business major, Sekolah Vokasi Universitas Gadjah Mada. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Hi.
And then also Mr. Jing Cho Yang as our CEO of Bukit Vista. Hi, sir.
Thank you. Hi.
Okay, so I'll give you a breakdown for this BVE Talk. This BVE Talk will start with a short speech from Bapak Yuda, and then it will be followed up with Mr. Jing, and then also the talk show, and the last session is the Q&A. And okay, here is it. Here's the presenting on your screen. We use Slido for our platform. So we want to make sure that we address your most important question at today's BVE Talk. Therefore, we'll be using a simple interaction. It's called Slido. And you can just easily type Slido. And maybe Mr. Secretary, would you please help me to type Slido on the comment section and also the event code, and then you can just click it and you can submit your question there. Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. So, okay, you can be casual, no pressure here, and I hope you will enjoy during your time at BVE Talk. Okay. Guys. I will give Pak Yuda maybe for this customer experience expert perspective, for the exploring the opportunities in the globalization. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening, Mr. Jing Cho Yang, all the speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased to welcome you to the Bukit Vista e-talk this evening. We are very grateful to Mr. Jing Cho Yang and his team for their initiative to hold this meeting. And thank you also to each and every one of you for being here with us today to listen to the speakers, to share ideas, find solutions, and solve problems that occurred during this pandemic situation. First of all, I would like to introduce our program. Tourism and Travel Program is a new program in our university, Gajah Mada University, and this year is our first year for the first class. Based on the discussion that we did before, among other tourism study programs, travel business is currently in an unfavorable condition due to the effects of the technological disruption. And apparently at this moment, we are all in that situation. The situation arises not only from technological disruption, but also from a global pandemic. This disaster seems to be the answer that the travel business has been at the most critical point. However, of course, we will not just give up. Among the impossibilities, there must be a way. So with this meeting, we hope we find solutions and tactical steps that in the short term can have an impact on the business continuity of tourism and travel business industry. And to formulate a solution, of course, we must first understand the problems we face. Some of the problems we see today are, first, pandemics hit both the supply and demand sides of the tourism industry globally. The nature of COVID-19 virus, which is not yet fully understood, and there is no certainty when the pandemic ends. This situation is completely different from the previous disaster that also affected the tourism sector, such as the Bali bombings, number 1 and number 2, the volcano eruption, or the earthquake. Recovery from those events was relatively more smooth and predictable. The rebranding and reselling program could also be implemented quickly by the task force team at that time. The second problem is about traveling itself. The ending process of the tourism sector is traveling. Online process is only part of the process flow. So the final process is still traveling, which requires human movement and social interaction. And the third problem is the fact that tourism is not a basic need of people. In the current conditions, people will prioritize basic needs over secondary needs. So for all these problems, the tourism actors must find creative and innovative solutions to meet the needs of consumers in the current situation. Okay, that's all I can say. I don't want to take too much of your time. Maybe it can be an opening for a more interesting discussion today. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Yuda. And then, yeah, I do agree. This time is not really for us, but yeah, let's see what we can do better. And then I will give the floor to you, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Cynthia, for the opportunity. The first thing I want to actually express is I want to express gratitude. I think in these very difficult times and this very difficult solution, I feel so much gratitude for people who have contributed their time multiple times to help us on our mission to become a global hospitality company. I want to also express gratitude to UGM as a university for our ongoing relationships and sending us interns and students and so many bright people to join our mission to build this company. I want to give gratitude to some of the speakers today who we reached out on really not knowing what to expect. We reached out to them on LinkedIn, mainly because we didn't have the knowledge to, we had basic knowledge, but we didn't have as much expertise. And we weren't dealing in the same, I think, volume and experience that our speakers coming to us have had. And I'm very grateful that they've been generous in sharing their time and their most valuable knowledge also with us during this time. And so I thought it only appropriate to sort of repay this gratitude that we feel by inviting more people to share and to understand. And I think in these crisis times, it is meaning. It's finding meaning in these moments where we can come together as a global community to look past differences, to look past like what might be happening economically on a day-to-day basis, to think about the greater good and how we can impact people's lives in a positive way. And through these discussions, what we hope to do is to really connect different worlds that otherwise might not have connected, and connect people who hopefully will inspire all of us to strive to new heights in our careers and attain things that we might not have believed were possible. So, and I'm grateful for the space that UGM has provided, again, for us to share this back to everybody. So I think this pandemic has taught me really what it means to give thanks. And living in Bali as a foreigner all these years, and having had the experience of having the culture and everything around us build our business to the level, I think it's only appropriate that we create this sharing. And for our guest speakers, I hope this will be a very meaningful way to connect to a country and a place that is exotic, new, and welcomes knowledge sharing and welcomes this type of wisdom. So those are my words, and I hope if you're attending from all different parts of the world that you'll get something really great out of this, and that it will be actionable to your life or wherever it might be, either finding a job, starting a business, or being more bold as an entrepreneur. And that's it. That's all I like to say for the time being. I'll turn the time back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your words. And then, for this webinar, I'd like to say to you guys please set your camera to off and also mute your microphone. So it will be for everyone comfortable as well. So, and then for this webinar question, you can just submit it to Slido. It will be like sli.do. So then you can enter this event webinar, BVE Talk. You can see the details more on the email. Okay, then. Okay, so I think we will start the talk show. And then for the speakers, I think it will be better if you keep the camera on so everyone can see you. Okay, thank you. And then, okay, let's start it. Oh, I'm so excited. I hope everyone will be so excited as well tonight. And then, hello, good morning, Celine and Denita, and good afternoon for Mohammed. You are muted, guys. You can turn on your microphone. And then, how are you?
Oh, we're fine, thank you. And good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, it's evening in Indonesia. Yeah. Okay. And then maybe for the first one, everyone here has been wondering who is the speaker here? Who are they? What they are doing for this time? So I think I will give you guys the floor to introduce yourself and maybe give a little bit of your background. And please, I will start it with the Celine first. Please, Celine.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So nice to be here and get to talk to all of you today. So thanks so much for coming. I'll start with a bit of my background. So as Shintia mentioned, I've been with Airbnb. Well, I had been with Airbnb for the past 8 years. We were actually a company called Luxury Retreats that was bought out by Airbnb, I guess 3.5, 4 years ago now. And it was most of my career has been in the tourism industry and with Airbnb, and it's been quite a wild ride and really a blessing to have gotten to learn everything I've gotten to learn in those 8 years. So I started as a concierge, so guest-facing, front lines, dealing with the day-to-day helping clients who book a luxury villa with luxury retreats plan the rest of the details of their stay. From there, I moved up into working with our VIP clients, these were guests who were spending lots of money, big money on their trips, and they were often celebrities or Fortune 500 CEOs or sometimes royalty. So that was just a whole other world that I hadn't been exposed to previously in my life, that I really had to get to know and kind of really start to understand the details of that type of clientele, what's important to them. You know, everything from the type of coffee maker to the type of pillows, what particular dietary trend the group was on that week, you know, and all sorts of things about that world and high-end tourism that I really got to master in my time in that role. And then I moved up to become a manager of a team of people doing that work. So having, I feel like, gotten a really good grasp of that myself, I was then able to pass my knowledge along, train up a bunch of superstar employees myself, and really help them share in their success and really thrive in their roles. And I had a brief stint over in the tech side of things too. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, thank you, Celine. And then we will get to know Celine more. And then, but first of all, I will give the floor to Janita, please.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, everyone. And I know for some of you it's afternoon or evening, so thank you for joining. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And very similar to Celine, who I had the pleasure to work alongside for 8 years. Our journey is actually quite similar. We started in the same role, working alongside each other, learning, you know, as we go. We were a very, very small team at the very beginning in 2012, and then we continued to grow and grow, and then until acquisition, we grew even more. So same as Celine, working as concierge, learning the ropes, learning new destinations. Everything is fast moving, fast paced, and you got to be quick. You gotta think on your feet. You got to find solutions. And just kind of run with it. So there was a lot of trial and error. There was a lot of learning opportunities. But I think over time, we really got to understand ourselves through doing that, understanding others. Never in my life have I had to pay so much attention to detail and really use my communication skills on every type of a platform possible in order to understand exactly what's going on with any guest at any time. And then working with also the VIPs, so VIP clients, celebrities, royalty, like Celine mentioned, CEOs and VIPs of all kinds. Sometimes you don't even know who your client is because they have an alias, and you might even have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So that was the level of things that we would see and have to learn about. So it was very interesting. It taught me a lot about people, the world, what the needs of others are, and what's important to them. So I think that's really important in just, you know, overall wanting to work with people and understanding what's important to them, and that no request is too big or too small, because that's what matters the most to them. So moving forward, I was also then promoted to manager as well. Celine and I, again, we literally had the same almost trajectory with each other. So it was very nice it's nice for her to be here with me today. And then we got to train and develop superstars. We got to teach them our ways. We got to show them the tricks and the shortcuts, and, you know, the service delivery things that we have learned throughout our time, and how to get what you want, and how to get the most out of your guest, and how to win at situations, how to turn something bad into something good. So I think that's really what one of my huge takeaways was for me in learning and developing others. And I love sharing these stories and these instances with anyone that wants to hear about it. So I'm happy to talk more about that in a little bit, but thanks for having me. And I hope this chat will be helpful for you all.
Okay, thank you, Renita. I'm sure that everyone here will be happy to have you here as well. Okay, before I'm going to was, I think I'd like to remind everyone you can start to submit your question, maybe from the short explanation, maybe you're feeling curious to the slideshow, and then the link already sent on the comment section, and maybe Mr. Secretary, can you please like um, send it again, and then here is it. You can go to the slido.com and then submit or enter the event code that is BVE Talk, and then you can start to submit your question there. Okay, thank you everyone. Okay, so I think we got Wes here. Hi Wes.
Hi, Shinti, and hi, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for having me, and good evening for you guys, and good morning for Selena and Danita. All right, so basically, I've been studying accounting and business administration back in the time, like 9 years ago, and then I joined a lot of companies, actually, and a lot of startups, just to fulfill the customer service and customer support field. And after chasing it from a place to another, I just came to a conclusion that customer support is really important, and customer success along the way, because basically if you have your clients and customers satisfied, definitely your business is going to be doing well. So that's why when I joined Uber 4 years ago, I started as a customer support agent, normal for drivers. And after that, I just got promoted to become a subject matter expert in riders and drivers, both of them. So after that, I just got promoted again to become a quality assurance team lead, just to make sure that everybody is satisfied, from drivers to riders, everybody, I mean, post users also, just to make sure that, hey, these policies suit our clients or not, and these kind of updates that we do, are they satisfied with the services or not, and make sure that, hey, this is our customer support team and they're doing a good job or not. So basically that has been my journey for the past 9 years, and I'll be happy to talk more about this whenever you want. So thank you guys again.
Okay, thank you, Wes. And then, okay, guys, so we have a lot of attendees here. They are coming from everywhere, mostly students, and then also, yeah, maybe everyone that wants to know about customer experience more, and maybe what the opportunities they can find here, and maybe they can have a takeaway after this, after this BVE talk, they get more inspired, or maybe they will go more spirit in this pandemic. Okay, and then speaking of the students here, I think I'd like to go to throwback to your college time. Do you happy with your grades when you were in college? Because if you could tell us about your big education background, I already know, but everyone here is not. Maybe it's far from the customer experience field. So, what do you feel when you were in college? Okay, I will give it to since Wes here. Wes, what do you feel when you were in college?
Okay, so at college, so basically everything that I studied is kind of not 100% related to the work that I started, because I studied accounting and business administration. So they both actually helped me with managing my time, because this is one skill that I really got from the university, and also communicating with people, because basically dealing with number and communicating with people are key factors to success in any business. So accounting made me not afraid of numbers, because accounting is all about numbers and just everything like that. And regarding business administration, is all about the marketing, is all about sales, it's all about customer service, it's all about the product itself and producing and stuff like that. So this is when I started this part. One thing that regarding my grades, they weren't the best at some specific subjects, because they always at the exams back in the time, I didn't have this kind of knowledge about how to study for exams. So I've been studying the whole year, and after that, just before the exams, I just get tired of studying the whole year and then just no, this doesn't work, you know? So after the university, I just realized that, hey, I could have done better in this, and I could have made this better and better and get better grades using smart studies and stuff like that. And we will talk about this later regarding the rule 80-20 or 70-20-10. We will mention this later in the session. So yeah, this is about me in the university.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. You're from accounting, and then with a lot of data come here to the customer experience. Okay, I'd like to love more know about that. And then, how about you, Donita? Do you also in the best trip like was, or would you please like tell us about your college?
So I studied small and medium enterprise management, or similar to small business management in college. For me, that was key because I didn't necessarily know which direction I wanted to go in and have an actual niche, but I just knew that at some point taking a business course would be really beneficial for me and for my future, because I always saw myself as someone that, you know, wanted to own their own business, probably at some point, be an entrepreneur, and something, you know, things of that nature. So for me, taking business was important, and that way I could learn a little bit about everything and apply it later on down the line. I was able to then, you know, working in my very early jobs, started out in restaurant, in hotels. I was a waitress, I was a hostess, I was a manager in a hotel and restaurant as well, traveled a lot throughout as well, working as, you know, also an au pair, so I was like a nanny that traveled with the family as well, and then at Cordon Bleu. So I have a lot of kind of different things, but they all kind of related back to hospitality and service, and it was kind of by accident that it happened that way. So it's almost like life found me and decided to, you know, give me these opportunities, but I just, you know, wanted to, you know, continue on with that and see where it took me. So business was really helpful for me, taking that in college. Obviously, I think I was 18 when I went to college. I was very young. Usually we are, right? We're just out of high school. I did take 1 year off between high school and college just to work a little bit, take a little bit of a break, and then I did my college. But I mean, we're always going to look back and say, I could have done things differently. I could have done things better. My grades were overall pretty good. I was also working throughout, putting myself through college. So there were a lot of times where I was really tired because I had to work the night before and I had an early class the next day. So, I mean, you do the best you can, but if it's important to you, you're going to make it work. You're going to find a way. So that was my experience, and I'm sure other people have similar experiences, but do what you can. It won't always be perfect, but as long as you're applying yourself, you can't ask for much more after that.
Okay, that's beautiful, Anita. Okay, I think we have Celine here as well. Celine, yeah, I know that your education background is like pretty much different with the customer experience field, right? So please tell us about it.
Sure. So yeah, it was a total pivot for me. I actually went to university for microbiology. I went to McGill, which is one of Canada's top universities, and I went into university thinking I wanted to become a medical doctor. So, you know, going through my undergrad, and just for some context on that, my parents are both scientists, so I kind of, you know, I got pushed in that direction a little bit, while knowing inside that it probably wasn't the thing that resonated most for me, but it was where I ended up for my undergrad. So from biology, I mean, there were actually some takeaways. There was, like Waz was saying, the time management piece is huge. You know, just figuring out your course load and how you're going to get through it all. Definitely learned some valuable skills there. Like Donita, I also worked throughout university. I was a swim instructor a lot of the time, and I would teach kids and adults how to swim. So that was a fun little job to have on the side. But with biology, it's also a lot of you're looking at complex processes and how they all work together to produce an end result, which applies to everything in life, especially business. And you're also like you're doing root cause analysis. So you're trying to figure out what particular piece is the primary trigger for some downstream event. But it came apparent to me throughout my undergrad journey that just looking at my peers around me, looking at the journey ahead to become a medical doctor, it became more and more clear that it wasn't the path I wanted to take. I didn't want to do those 8 years of school. I wanted to start my life. I wanted hands-on experience in the real world. And because I was starting to realize this, I would say towards the end of my university career, my grades did suffer a little bit. I never failed, but just not my usual standard. So yeah, I completely pivoted after 4 years at McGill. I just stopped going to school altogether, became an executive assistant to a real estate mogul guy so I was his office manager and executive assistant, which was my first little glimpse into kind of the world of supporting other people in their work and in their arrangements and managing complex real world type situations. So again, from that, I got to improve my time management skills and start to look at how business actually operates. But I was only in that a few months before the opportunity at Luxury Retreats came my way. And then, yeah, I got started at Luxury Retreats. But it just goes to show that, life can take you all kinds of different places. I'm glad that I had the experience in biology that I did, especially in terms of understanding this pandemic and what's been going on with that. That's been kind of helpful. But, it did shape my thinking. It taught me some valuable skills. It also taught me to listen to my gut because I'm not going to make mistakes like that moving forward in terms of doing something that I know isn't right for me. So that's my college university experience.
Yeah, thank you, Celine and Janita, and also Wes for sharing that things. So I think if I can take here, like everything has the silver lining, right? So I think there will be no wrong and no right in you. Maybe you have prepared for what you want to be on the next time, right? And then okay, Celine, I think well. Speaking about your customer experience, you start as a concierge, and then what were some of your greatest experiences when you are as a concierge, and until you are a platform migration specialist at Airbnb, right? What were some of your greatest experience you could share to us?
All right, sure, yeah. So I definitely have some guests that remain memorable to me even to this day. One that I can remember was planning a 50th birthday party. This happened to be when I was working in the Caribbean. It was like early on in my career because I became specialized more in APAC and Europe after that. But it was the 50th birthday party. We had 30 or so guests going to a private island just off of Providenciales in Turks and Caicos. Everyone was flying in on private planes, and then they had to take a taxi, and then they had to take a boat over to the private island. And then we were just doing all kinds of arrangements. It was a 3-day long weekend basically, but we had, 3 meals a day, fully catered, specialized meals according to the wife whose 50th birthday party it was, her tastes. We had a live band coming in. We had a bonfire on the beach. We had fireworks, and everything had to come over by the boat. So there was a lot of logistics in terms of, planning all the boat schedules and getting everything over. But it turned out to be a really huge success for the clients. And just to give you an idea of the kind of just the villa itself, I believe was, $200,000 probably to rent. But then on top of that, it was like an extra $100,000 just in the services that they booked that I coordinated for that weekend. So that was one of my greatest hits for sure. Another time I was working with a Russian billionaire, and he was going to one of our ski resort properties in the States, and he wanted to learn to slalom ski, but he didn't want anyone watching him. So we got him an ex-Olympian ski instructor to teach him the slalom skiing. That's where you have your downhill skiing, but you have the posts that you have to go between. You have to hit each one of them. So it's a very technical, high-level ski. So he wanted the mountain privatized. He wanted it all to himself. So I didn't think we were going to be able to pull that one off. Because I'm in the Montreal head office, and we're dealing with people like in Colorado. This was so we spent a few weeks tapping into all of our contacts on site, trying to see who could make this happen. And eventually, we had to talk to the director of the resort there. So right at the top level, and negotiate with him, and we were able to get the rental of not the whole mountain, but just that particular ski run every day over Christmas and New Year's, just for the low price of $10,000 a day, which he was happy to pay. So yeah, that's another one of our greatest hits. And then when it came to some of the other like contributions to the department, in terms of regions, so luxury retreats, and then when it became like Airbnb Luxe, we had, I believe, about 90 destinations worldwide. Danita can correct me I think it was about that. And each destination we had to know like everything about. We had to be experts in each of the 90 destinations. So one of the things that I'm most proud of in my contributions with that was putting together our V1 knowledge management database, which was instrumental as the team was growing and we had to keep track of all these details that we'd accumulated over the years. So we really needed a way to track the information, keep it organized, and we didn't have a team that was responsible for doing that at that time. So myself and a few other team members put together a knowledge database, which became instrumental in helping new agents onboard and get to know the knowledge they need to know really quickly, as well as just keeping all our policies and proprietary information organized. Yeah, I would say that covers some of the greatest hits and things that I'm most proud of in my career.
Okay, then the things that I'd like to ask is here, like you have a several experience that you told us here, and then what is your like takeaway? What is the primary benefit you get from this work, from your work? Would you please tell us?
Sure, yeah. I mean, wow. I mean, managing complexity, I would say, is a huge piece. We just, there was a lot of complexity and just volume alone. We were dealing with 30 trips a month for, we were working up to 3 months in advance, so 90 trips at a time, and each trip could have anywhere from 5 to 30 guests. So each trip is its own little project. So you can imagine the amount of complexity and being able to manage that complexity that goes into that. So we had to develop a lot of heuristics and organizational techniques to keep all that straight. But it was also really about connecting with all types of different people, all different classes of people, different cultures, different people in the hospitality industry. Because really when you're working, as we were, it wasn't a hotel, nothing was under our own roof. We had only our relationships to rely on, only our relationships to count on to make things happen. That ski hill in Colorado would not have happened without the relationships that I had formed there and cultivated. So really getting to know all different types of people from all different walks of life that I wouldn't have gotten to know in any other context were some of the most important things. And then also just business development and watching how we grew from such a tiny company where it was very wild, wild west and everyone was just kind of doing everything flying by the seat of their pants, up to becoming a much more organized and streamlined organization with policies and procedures and a department that just kept multiplying and sub-departments within our departments that became specialized. So really watching us grow from, I would say, a teenage-sized startup to being part of a huge multinational company like Airbnb were, yeah, it's my biggest takeaways.
Wow, that's cool, Celine. So I think, Danita, you work in a same company with Celine, and you start like almost in the same year with Celine, and also like in the same place, like luxury retreats as well, right? And then, could you relate that to your experience, or maybe you have another experience that you would share to us?
Well, yeah, we had, I mean, over 8 years, there were plenty of experiences to be had. It's so funny because, you know, it's hard to just think back and take just one. But in terms of, you know, anything can come up in the day-to-day. The idea is, you know, you're working in customer experience, and the idea is to deliver great service. The idea is to ensure that no stone gets left unturned. You are honoring what you say that you're going to honor, and you make it happen, no matter what that means for you. So, you know, we make it look all fancy and nice on the outside, but really we're spinning our feet, you know, and spinning our wheels on the back end, because there's so much going on in terms of logistics and things that the guest doesn't know we have to deal with in terms of the challenges we might face getting certain things done. One of the interesting moments for me when I was working on the Italy destination, I had a VIP guest who had a private chef, and he wanted that private chef to learn Italian cooking at a very high-end hotel called La Sirenuse, which is currently still in Positano. And he said, I can't get through to them. I want to be able to have them do a stage and internship, my chef do a stage internship and learn Italian cooking for the entire week that we're spending there. I said, no problem. I have a contact there. Because over the years of working, 5 years on Italy, I had to contact that hotel and these restaurants on numerous occasions. It was one of the hot spots at the time, and it just became normal that you build the relationships with your contacts, your vendors in other locations, and then you remain, you know, in good standing with them, right? So for me, it was a quick email, no issue, and I was actually able to get that done. There were some legalities that could have presented themselves, and you know, they let me know we don't usually do this, but we can offer this kind of a package to this person if that really makes their dream come true, and we were able to pull that off. So I mean, a lot of it is, you know, how much do you want to challenge yourself? And for me, and I'm sure for Celine and others here, that's what makes it really exciting in the day-to-day. You don't know what you're going to come up against. You don't know what someone is going to ask you for. I used to call us, you know, the dream and the magic makers, because that's what we did. We had to turn somebody's thought and dream into physical reality. And that's what we did. And we made sure that we would find a way, whichever way possible, to do that. Of course, ethically, legally so, right? Don't do anything that's illegal, you know, to get something done. But that's what we did. That was the challenge. That was the fun part. Using your resources also is huge, right? Using your contacts, your connections, and those don't die as long as you continue to keep those alive and you build those connections. They last forever. People will always remember that, especially in travel and tourism. You know, those connections, they usually stay in that industry, in that field for a long time, or they branch off into something else. But it's really important to keep those connections alive, so that you can use them for your future. And you don't know who is going to come through for you in any kind of way or fashion at a later time and just help you achieve the unthinkable. So that's just one of the many experiences that I can sort of share in terms of, you know, out there, dream making, magic happening, coming true. But there's going to be all kinds. Everyone's experiences are going to be different. We're here, we're highlighting all the great things. There's also some not so fun things that happen in the background, but I'm sure we're going to talk about that later. So I'll leave it there for now. But I hope I answered that. And if you need clarification, let me know on anything.
Okay, thank you, Renita. Yes, you're right. I hope that you maybe will tell us more about the way you make people's dreams come true later. But right now, I think I will go to the West. Okay, West. I think West, you are here as a kind of like a back end because you also in a customer experience field, but it's kind of like you are more monitoring or then yeah. Could you do you maybe have another experience before that you could relate with Danita or Celine, or maybe you want to give us a little bit of your journey in Uber?
Sure. So I just wanted to first thank Danita for what she's been saying, because I can't agree more on having communication and building your image and to make people trust you. This is one of the most important facts in every single company, in every single field. So even if you are a student, even if you are a manager or a team member, you just have to build a good image, and you have to make sure that everybody around you trusts you because you're up to this trust and up to this standards. So thank you, Danita, for mentioning this part. It's really important. And yeah, one more thing is that just don't put yourself in, a very limited vision. You have always to seek forward, because customer service is just taking care of the inquiries of the customers that you currently have, but customer success is actually going beyond that, even increasing these customers and even adding more and maintaining the current people that you currently have. So customer success here is kind of going above and beyond. You don't just stay reactive, you go proactive. So this is one of the things that I would love to talk about regarding the proactivity. So yeah, don't just stick to the job description, or don't just stick to the curriculum or the course that you're having at the university, because if you would love to shine in a specific area or field, you have to go way above that and above and beyond that. Basically, if you're, for example, studying tourism and the technicalities of this, for example, having your customer satisfied and this kind of knowledge, basically you need to go above that. So basically you should study the market, see what are you going to be unique at. So every single person has his own touch, has his own fingerprint. You have to make this shine, and you have to make this valuable to the customers and to your colleagues and to the company that you're working for and to everybody that you're actually dealing with. So yes, this fingerprint is really, really, really important to make sure that, hey, I'm X and I can do 1, 2, 3, and this kind of 4 is not there at your place, and I'm going to add it, So yeah, I would love to encourage everybody who is in the call just to make sure that, hey guys, don't worry, everybody has his unique touch. Always maintain to keep watering it, because at the end, this little seed will grow into a very big tree. So this is when you will know where to shine. So what else would you like to know about, Cynthia?
Okay, thank you, Wes. Speaking of the uniqueness, here, I'm just curious. You said that we should grow it and then watering it. What do you think is your uniqueness that you grew, and maybe you can go back to yourself just like several years later, or that maybe, oh look, hey, old class, here, look, I'm good right now, so don't be afraid or don't be curious about your uniqueness, just keep growing it. What is your uniqueness that you are watering?
Okay, so basically being at work, as Celine also said this, and Anita as well confirmed. So basically, behind every success, you have a lot of failures and a lot of bad images that we face and that we actually have every day or on weekly basis or daily basis at some point. So basically, I wanted always to be this kind of, well that you get positive energy from. So every single body that worked with me for the past 9 years have always been telling me that, hey, when I need energy, when I'm down, I just go talk to you. So this was one of the main things. So we had a lot of crises. So I remember when we had this layoff because of the coronavirus, my manager was really furious and mad that I'm leaving the company, but I was the one telling him, don't worry, it's okay, you guys are going to do fine. So it was just like, I just stopped at the moment and they just said, okay, I feel sad that I'm going to leave, but at the same time, I should stay positive, because if I just fell down and they look up to me when it comes to positivity, I will definitely affect the whole team. So that's why, hey guys, don't worry, everything is going to be all right. And we believe in you guys. I mean, those who stayed and those who left, this is not the end of the universe. Basically, you will find different companies and different places. Maybe this is the step that you wanted to take a long time ago, but you didn't have the courage, you know. But now you're at the sea, you have to swim. So this is how it goes, you know. So regarding the this specific part, the positivity, I remember when I was subject matter expert like three years ago, I think, or 4 years, almost 3 years ago. So basically, one of the regional managers in sub-Saharan Africa, down there in Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, Kenya, and Tanzania, basically he said that he kind of printed my email and my photo in one of the offices that we had in South Africa, and he said, be like Was, because I was the top performer back in the time. So he wanted me to inspire more experts until this very moment were friends. And when they come to Cairo to just visit the country, they just call me and I just take them for tours, even though I don't belong to the tourism, tourism sector. So yeah, this is one of the things that I really am proud of. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Wow, that's very beautiful, Wes. That's really inspiring. And then, okay. Well, thank you, Wes. And then I'd like to remind everyone again that right now I saw many creations start coming. So please, if you want to submit your creation, you can go to slido.com and then you can just enter our event code. That's BVE Talk. And then, yeah. I will continue this again. And oh yeah, I'd like to remind you guys. So we met Was, Danita, and also Celine from LinkedIn. So I believe that everyone here also has their LinkedIn profile. You can start searching them on your LinkedIn, and maybe at the end of the session or after this BVE talk, you guys can post an appreciation post for them. You can tag them as well. They are very friendly, and then also they are. I believe that they're willing to share another stories with you guys. So please go to your LinkedIn and then search for their name right now. Okay. So Danita. Yeah. Speaking about the things that happen during this time, like there are so many huge companies that sadly like must let go their employees, like Wes has told us. And then I saw that there are so many customer experience people that being laid off. What do you think and what do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really unfortunate time. You know, this is something that I think we've all experiencing for the first time in our lifetimes, right? And it's not just a certain pocket of the world, it's the entire world is experiencing this at the same time. So that is already one thing that we have in common. And already I think, you know, just in terms of myself being recently also laid off, not something I expected, although I knew it could be a possibility, right? Being hit in this pandemic, and you know, travel and entertainment is one of the biggest you know, resources and you know, industries in the world, and everyone is experiencing a huge challenge, a huge hit, financially, personally, in all areas. So everyone, I think, is being impacted differently here, right? For myself, you know, yes, it was unfortunate situation to go through the layoff. However, For me, it was just an experience and an opportunity to see what can come out of this type of a situation, right? I truly believe that, a setback is a setup for a comeback. And I just feel like our industry, this is the moment where it needs to change. We need to maybe do things differently. We can talk about the airline companies and all of the fuel emissions and, the pollution that they put in. And now we've got a chance to kind of just bring that down. And there are just so many other ways that we can look at all of the good in this very challenging situation. But again, just going back, there's a huge opportunity, I think, in the future for what that industry will look like moving forward. I know right now one of the bigger kind of or newer call it experiences or things to do is nearby stays, right? So even though we cannot travel by plane to other countries or continents or destinations, we can get in our car and we can drive somewhere we've never seen before, right? So that's a huge, I think, opportunity to see things you haven't seen before, visit places you haven't been to before, be a tourist in your own city. I'm even finding myself doing that, even myself now in Montreal. I'm going to locations and things, places I haven't been before because I want to explore, I want to see something new, because normally I would be getting on a plane, going to an airport to do that elsewhere, right? So making the most of the moment, I think, that you have right now. And then I really see, I'm sure some really interesting things are going to come back up and in different ways when things can, go back to normal. Let's call it normal. When it's safe to travel again, when people feel safe to travel again, everyone's going to do it on their own time and in their own way. But it will be really interesting. And I think now even us on this platform today, we're using technology, right, to connect with each other, to have these discussions, to talk about, okay, how can we, change the future post-pandemic, and just having different insights and different ways to talk about these things. Always, I think now moving forward, the platform will be, technology will be number one, of course, and then the in-person experience after that. So I'm really interested to see what happens. I think there's going to be a huge shift and opportunities coming back, and it'll only be better than it was before. So that's my take on that future of pandemic and how we can use the experience to our highest capable possibility in this moment now today with technology and our connections, our network, and our friends.
Right. I do agree with that. Thanks. Because I heard maybe this could be a hard time during the pandemic, but let's see. Are you going to be a winner or a loser after this pandemic? Okay. But Danita, I'd like to know your opinion about the customer experience field in during this pandemic. What is the challenge, and also, would you please give us your opinion about that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest challenges right now is health and safety, right? So everyone is concerned about, am I safe if I go somewhere? Am I safe even in my own city, right? So our habits are changing and we're doing something different, which means we're gonna have to really use that moving forward when we get back to travel or somewhat regular travel and customer service, right? That will probably be one of the number one things on people's mind is how are you cleaning the places that I'm visiting? What are the cleanliness protocols? What are you doing to keep others safe around you? How is the staff operating, right? So everyone needs to be really, really aware and take that as probably the number one habit that needs to change. And then also apply that to the customer, because everyone, again, will be different. Some might be more aggressive with, I want to know how this is done, or I want more cleaning done here. If we're, a guest visiting a hotel, they might ask for more housekeeping, or they might, who knows? They could, anything they'll ask you anything they want. And then some guests might be just a little bit more relaxed about it. So health and cleanliness will be number one, protocols around that. So I think highlighting that will be really, really interesting, and ensuring that also your guests, your customers, your clients can trust your new ways and how you're doing that. And it would be interesting to also probably talk about what those are and adapt as quickly as you can to based on what your requests are, right? Also keep track of these types of details because everyone will want something different, but you'll probably start to see a trend. And if you can adapt quickly to those moments, that will be successful for just helping you to move forward during this very interesting time.
Okay, that's really wonderful. Thank you, Danita. And then, Celine here. I'd like to know and hear more about what do you think about, like Danita said that safe and healthy is the most important thing right now, and also the way we coped and like thrive in this situation. Okay, how did you like cope this situation during this pandemic, and what do you think as a former customer experiences? I think you can give us maybe tips to what is customer experience should do during this pandemic.
There we go, off mute. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think Danita covered the health and safety aspect pretty thoroughly. Of course, that's going to be everyone's number one concern. People are still afraid, some more than others. Some people are ready to travel again. I think a lot of people are dying to travel, but whether or not they're like afraid to is another question. But I think one of the biggest pieces in customer experience is how do you retain that connection and the relationship with your guest, with your clients, while still respecting that, social distancing and personal barriers, and not really having that face-to-face with them. In the industry I came from, we never had the face-to-face with our clients. We weren't there on site, so I'm pretty familiar with that as like getting the relationship going with your guest without having that face-to-face. I mean, it was always the primary concern for me. I mean, yeah, you have to focus on the logistics and making sure all the details on the back end work out. But if you have that relationship, something little can slip and your guest will forgive you, and you'll be able to recover from that little detail that got missed much, much quicker if you've already established that relationship. So, I mean, it's like anything, any kind of relationship. I think the most important thing is getting on the phone. If you can maybe FaceTime with your clients like you're doing here, I feel like that's even a better way to get to know them and have them get to know you. And just listening to what type of client they are, listening to see if there is that fear in them, like they're, if they're experiencing some hesitation about doing a particular activity or going to a particular destination. Really hearing that as the primary, reflecting back what you've heard, and then proceeding to reassure them in terms of here are the health and safety protocols that we're taking, letting them know if there's been any, the dropping cases in that particular region, as we're seeing almost everywhere now, thankfully. But building that relationship is the primary thing. And maybe in a lot of fields that will require a little extra effort, a little extra intel on the tech side of things to be able to facilitate that face-to-face whenever you can. I'm seeing, my mind's eye, like villas or hotel rooms equipped with iPads where you can have that face-to-face without actually being in the same room. That could be the type of thing we see in travel and tourism moving forward. Also, just making sure our providers on site, so any, our drivers or any tour providers are respecting those standards too, and seeing how they're tailoring their services in order to facilitate a post-COVID world is going to be important as well. So I would say, those are the main things. So maintaining the relationship with your guests while not being right there with them.
Okay, I think yeah, that's right. Maintaining the connection, maintaining your relationship with guests is the most important for everyone. I think. I think we should stay connected in this situation, right? Um. Okay. Celine, I'd like to ask you about this thing. Like, we have known that Danita also was have like said maybe for this moment you can do anything that you haven't done before. Okay, what things that you have done that you haven't done before, and then now you have a lot of time to do that.
Oh, what I have a lot of time to do?
To do that, yeah, maybe like the things that you are doing right now.
Okay, sure. I mean, so I have to say that because I was also affected by the layoffs with the COVID-19 impacting the whole tourism industry. So it has given me, first of all, a time to take a step back and just take a breath, because it has been quite a wild ride for the past 8 years. Very busy, lots going on. So I have to say it's been nice just to have a little moment. And thankfully, our company Airbnb did give us, a generous package and lots of tools to help us on our future journey. So that's just been great, just to have that time to take a step back, because working in the startup world, working for a big tech company like Airbnb, there's a lot of pressure. So just having a little time to also reflect and think about what an appropriate next step would be has been really great. Kind of telling my story to myself in different ways, which also helps, of course, with future interviewing, and really seeing where my strengths are, what, having all this experience, what I personally want to do in the future. Is that staying guest facing, or do I want to pivot to more of a back end role, strategy type thing? So personally had a lot of time to reflect on that too. But as well as, opportunities like this, when Cynthia reached out to me to do the initial consulting / career chat, that was super valuable for me. It was really, really fun to give back a little bit, because I've had so many blessings in my life, in my career, and just to be able to connect with other people who are in, a similar situation. We've all been affected, and share some of my experiences, and to be here sharing with you. That's also been a really special opportunity, because had I been working, it would have been a lot harder to fit this in. So that's some of what I've been doing.
Okay, thank you, Celine. Thank you, Celine, for sharing that. Also for Danita and Wes as well. I know that it must be a hard time, but I know we can like pass it. Okay, guys. I think I will let you drink for a while Celine and Danita, you can drink and can relax for a while. And then I'd like to remind you guys again for the question box is on Slido. You can go to the Slido and submit your question to the speakers there. And then also, please, if you guys have a LinkedIn profile, I think we have shared their LinkedIn profile on the web on the question list. There is a referral question, but I think we still have more question to be asked. Okay, yeah. We will wait. The question will come more and more. Okay. Thank you. And I'd like to share my story a little bit as a tourism student. Right. I think there are a lot of many tourism students here. Maybe the alumnus, or maybe the person that also work in tourism industry and hospitality here. Okay. I'd like to know about one of your experience of dealing with an angry guest, because it maybe could be one of our greatest fear when like dealing with them and feeling guilty by cannot solve their problem. Maybe like, can you like explore, or maybe can you like share that experiences with this condition and then how you come to evolve it? Okay, Celine, since I see you here.
All right. Yeah. So we've definitely had our fair share of angry clients. You never know. I mean, there's so much that can set someone off, and some clients are more particular than others. It's just inevitable in the customer service tourism industry. So again, it comes to, first of all, listening to your client. Let me think if I have. Yeah, we had one incident recently that I helped one of my team members deal with this year. So we had a guest going to actually Hawaii, and they were going to a resort. It was a villa that was on the resort property. During the time there was a golf tournament happening at the resort, but the guests were also big golfers themselves. And the reason they'd chosen the villa when they booked the villa months back was for the golf course, which was going to be unavailable for the majority of their stay. So obviously this client, she was first dealing with my team member, and then she'd asked to speak to me, the manager, because she was really not happy with the situation. She wanted to express her frustration, and you can completely understand where that frustration came from, having chosen her villa based on the golf course and then being told she wouldn't be allowed to use the golf course. So first of all, it was about hearing her out and reflecting back, her frustration. And, you do have to apologize on behalf of the company. And, I had no idea whether or not we knew about the tournament at the time she booked, but that wasn't something she needed to know. She just needed to hear an apology and that we were going to make it better. So in this case, she was able to have access to the golf course for the first part of her stay. But luckily on Hawaii, I think this was Big Island, there are a lot of golf courses. So what we were able to do was just get her other reservations at nearby golf courses, make sure she had a way to get there. And of course, we comped one of her days of play at one of the other golf courses, and just made sure she had a golf cart for her when she was at the home resort, and a driver to take her to the other resorts. So it just, it was up to us to make it better, because in this case, as a company, we did drop the ball, not knowing about the golf tournament and not communicating that in time. So it's just about what you can do to make it better. And ultimately, she was happy with the results.
Wow, that's cool, Celine. Thank you. Okay, Wes, could you relate with Celine's experience, because you are in a transportation, right? But we are in hospitality. Yeah, would you please tell your story, maybe how you deal with an angry guest, and then maybe your big day when you can't resolve their problems?
All right. So yeah, what Celine has been saying happens everywhere and every sector again. So basically, angry customers always are there, So basically, owning this issue and assuring this angry customer that, hey, I'm here to help and I'm here to listen. And after that, you just make sure that you give him proper time to introduce the idea and the issue that he's having. And right after that, and just you confirm that you're going to solve this issue by any means. This is how to handle an angry customer in a very, very, very small steps, So first of all, listen to him, assure him that you're here to help, and after that, just solve the issue and commit to what you're saying. So what happened is that 4 years ago, when I joined Uber, we had a policy, and we had 3 countries that were complaining about this policy. It made riders kind of pay more, so people were complaining about the fare, and they kind of found it unfair, and no, we don't agree with this one and stuff. So our queue, the type of complaints that we get on daily basis got increased 200%, and sometimes 400%. So it was really bad, and the situation was not the best. So instead of dealing with one angry customer at a time, we wanted to do something to just eliminate this issue from from the roots. So basically, I had formed a team and I got all the data for the 3 countries and I started to analyze. So what exactly are they complaining from? So I just got samples from every single country and city, and after that started to analyze. So basically, we have here A is complaining about X, and B complaining about X, and something really related to X, and to A, and the other third people or the third quarter of the guys are complaining about something else. So basically, I had to make sure that, hey guys, we break down the issues to 1, 2, 3. So basically, if we fix these 3 root causes, definitely we will have back satisfaction and everything. So basically, it was this is how it started. So when I talked to my manager, hey, we need to work on this policy, and it was something that's really new in Cairo COE, Cairo office. So we started to take the permissions to work on this kind of policy, and we sent to the engineers, and we worked with the regional managers and from city managers as well. And everybody has been working on this issue to fix it from roots. And after that, when we fixed it, it took us, I think, a month or 2 max. And after we made sure that we fix it, the issue has been eliminated from the roots. So nobody is complaining about it anymore. So basically, if you're having angry customers within the same issue, definitely you don't need to just make sure that everybody is handled on daily basis, but you should also work on the root cause. So yeah, back in the time as well, like 7 years ago when I was working at Western Union, we had again a same issue and angry customers everywhere when they try to send money using their cards. So we started working on the root cause of the website. It had some sort of an error. Whenever you send money over your credit card, it gets declined automatically. So you have to wait for 3 or 4 more days to get your money back. So this was a very, very, very bad issue. So that's when I just said that, hey, we shouldn't, some sort of handle every customer by having every single day a new angry customer with the same issue, a new angry customer with the same issue. So no, not anymore. We want to work on this from the roots. So yeah, I think the root causes here kind of help you with maintaining the level of the customer experience and maintaining the level of satisfaction that you get from your current customers and from the newer future customers.
Okay, Wes, did you use your 80 and 20 systematical here when you solve the problems of your customer?
Yeah, so this is when I actually learned about it. It was a Pareto role. So basically, it's about making sure that your 20% of efforts get you the 80% results. So basically, when you study, for example, for 8 hours, or when you work for 8 hours, and you're a manager or you're a student. So basically, if I'm a manager and I'm working just 8 hours, so basically I should check what are the goals or the key achievements that I would like to have. So for example, I have 3 of them, and the other 7 goals are kind of not that important, but they have to be done. So definitely I can manage that my 20% of time is working on these kind of 3 top issues. At the same time, I can delegate the rest of the less important goals to my team members, So when I handle this kind of issue or these kind of situations, so basically when I check the root causes, so for example, I get 1,000 email per day, for example. So these 1,000, I have to categorize them and to make sure that, hey, for example, I have 70% of them are related to one issue. So I need to make sure that my time is all mainly going for this issue, just to eliminate the 80%, the major bucket of the issues. So yeah, this is how it started. So basically, you should always define your goals, define the key achievements that you should have. After that, you should definitely start tackling them and maintaining this 80-20 rule, just to prioritize your tasks, which are the main important to you currently or right now. After that, you have to protect the most important activities that you should do, comparing to or from the least important activities that you shouldn't, or that you should do again, but later time, This is how it goes.
Yeah. Thank you, Wes. I think it will be so benefit for the everyone's here when they should put their prioritize and maybe like the way they solve their problems. Okay, thank you. So I think I'd like to maybe share about some of us when we begin in our careers. We find that it's hard to trust ourselves with our own decision. In hospitality and tourism, we have kind of like SOPs and then guidelines and rules for offering a service. Okay, Danita, you ever mentioned about the robotic service, about being human, like no one wants to talk with a robot. And then could you tell us a bit more about this idea and how this might be able to inspire us to trust ourselves more when dealing with the new people?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of, trial and error, right? I mean, any company that you work for, or if there are guidelines and SOPs to follow, once again, they are guidelines to follow. And that is for you to understand, using the proper trajectory or going on the right journey to get your proper end result, right? So it will take some time, obviously, to get comfortable with, deciphering between different situations, with the different levels of complexities that might come up. So you really just have to trust that you're making the right decision. If you're unsure, you can always ask for help. You do not have to make decisions by yourself. If you are unsure, that is especially when you should ask for help. You can ask a colleague, you can ask a manager, because the last thing you want to do is make a decision that is not going in the right direction, and then it creates even more friction than was already presented to itself. So if you are unsure, you can ask a colleague. And from there, that's when you'll start to remember, that's when you start to learn how to apply certain solutions, right, to different situations. You'll start to see the links between what outcomes worked in the past versus which ones don't. You'll want to remember those. So a lot of it is you remembering from past experiences. You will make mistakes, and don't be afraid to do that. It's a learning experience. We're not perfect. We're not robots, like you said. This is meant to happen. And at the core, we are humans first. So I feel like that would be the best way to move toward a situation, finding solutions, asking for assistance. There's nothing wrong with asking. In fact, it's probably the best thing that you can do for yourself until you are comfortable enough or experienced enough to make those decisions on your own, using the intuition and those gut feelings like Celine talked about. And then as Waz was saying too, the trusting yourself, trust inside of yourself as well. But I think also along with that, accountability also goes a very long way. If for some reason you do make a mistake or something comes up, you taking that on and owning it will create just so much more respect from your peers and your colleagues and even your clients, that you're taking that as your own and you're finding a solution on how you're going to fix it. So I feel like there's always a way to turn it around, and that kind of even goes into the how to deliver bad news. That can be applied in a lot of different settings. Problem solving, solutions, what can you offer instead, is always going to be, I think, a way that you can navigate yourself into a new successful area.
Okay, you mentioned about delivering a bad news. Okay, I remember about the silver platings. I think that's a very interesting to be shared. Please share it, Danita.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to deliver bad news, right? But once you have to do it, and then once you start getting comfortable with it and understanding what your process is and how you can make that work for yourself, and maybe what resources you have available also for yourself to use to change situations, make it better. Those will kind of be your pillars to succeeding. So, you know, I'm thinking about a time when I was working on Turks and Caicos Island, and there was a family, and we had booked them 3 boat charters with the same boat. And on the first day, excuse me, of the boat charter, the father calls me so angry and tells me he hates the boat that we've chosen for him, even though he's booked it 3 times. So he has 2 more trips to go on after this. He wants nothing to do with it. This is all my fault. You know, I have to fix it now. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, his cancellation policy is completely null and void at this point. He's paid, he cannot get his money back. But I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? So obviously the first response is not to tell the guest necessarily that he's outside of his cancellation policy. But I mean, that is one of the key factors, of course, but it's how do I deliver this news in a very nice fashion to him? And then thinking about what can I do instead to help him figure this out. So, you know, letting him know, hey, so we are inside of your cancellation policy, right? Very nice, very proper. I'm going to figure out how I can make this work for you, and let's find you a different boat instead. So as soon as I get off the phone, I'm literally running around the office talking to my colleagues, because now what I have to do is either 2 things, right? I have to see if my vendor in Turks and Caicos will refund this money and do me a really huge favor, because I work with them really, really often and we bring them plenty of business. Otherwise, I need to find a different solution. So that solution was not an option. Second solution was, okay, my colleagues, my resources, do they need this boat on the days that this guest has booked it? So it's a very busy destination. I'm talking to all of my colleagues. Does your guest need this boat? Does your guest need this boat? What can we do? Nobody wants the boat. I'm like, I have to get rid of this boat, right? Finally, another third solution, call back the company and let's see about, can we open up a join-in day trip, because it was a private boat trip, but let's open it up and see if just, you know, we can do a public trip. Anyways, long story short, in a matter of under 24 hours, we were able to fill that boat on a public day trip, and my guest was able to get his money back. He was very happy, although he didn't tell me that he was. But again, you know, a lot of that's just part of the job, right? Delivering bad news, finding quick solutions, using your resources, turning it into something different for yourself. And then at the end, everybody wins, right? So these are some of the challenges that will come up. But you can apply these types of things to different solutions in any kind of given fashion. So that's, I think, the overall message for just how you can get what you want, get what you need. Everybody gets what they need, as long as you're, again, taking accountability, right? Being respectful, offering solutions. There's so much respect that can come forth from that, and there's no denying that in any way.
Wow, that's pretty cool, and I think that's a problem that we used to face every time. Like, we are feeling very hard to deliver a bad news to our guests, to our customer, and then thank you, Denita, for sharing it. And wow, the time goes so fast right now. I think I'm going to jump to the question and answer session. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, would you please share the screen for the question? Okay, let's see. Okay, we have a lot of anonymous question here. But here is it. There is one that not anonymous. So I think I'd like to call him. I hope he's still here. It's Gaddafi the Butler. Okay, Gaddafi the Butler, are you here? Okay, Well, actually, if you're here, I'd like to give you a chance to ask the speakers by yourself. Are you here? Okay, I think he's not here, but here's it. The question for all of the speakers: is there any alternative way to provide excellent service in pandemic COVID-19 period? I think Celine already mentioned about this as well, but I'd like to know more from Wes. Please.
Okay, so as you just said, you got everything actually covered regarding this question, and it's all about assuring the clients or the customers in tourism. For example, if this question is related to tourism specifically, basically. She mentioned that you need to confirm and to make sure that, hey, we have the safety procedures. Danita also mentioned this. So safety procedures are met, and cleanliness is just, is unique at this specific place. So you don't need to worry about it. Definitely mentioning that the area that you're going to visit or the area that you're going to have has decreasing number of the coronavirus and stuff. Plus, after that, just because Selena here mentioned that there will be kind of types of clients, and some of them will be, kind of hesitated about whether they're going to travel or not. So basically here, regarding customer excellence or customer success, maybe reaching out to them and mentioning that, hey, are you tired of maybe staying at home and stuff like that? Definitely we have this kind of place for you, and it's free of corona, and we have the safety procedures you're going to enjoy, and with a reasonable price, and we will take care of your going and coming back and stuff. So I think definitely like 90%, or I myself will not say no to this offer if somebody told me this. So yeah, I think that's everything regarding the alternative way to provide excellence during the COVID-19. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Wes. I think I saw Kadafi here. Kadafi, are you here? Would you please unmute your microphone if you're here? Okay. Yep. Wes and Sally maybe already give your insight, and maybe you want to ask by yourself. Do you have any?
Yes, thank you so much. Allow me to. I'm very, very happy to be part of this seasons. And first of all, special thanks to Miss Helen and Mr. Mohammed and Miss Anita as well. Which is, I think, all of them like me. Which is we are working in which is like in the industry. Which is we need more knowledge, especially for the customer service, because as you know that I'm working as personal butler, which is in some of the luxury hotels, especially in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And I want to talk about my background, but the most important thing, I'm very excited to talk about the customer service experience, and also exploring the opportunity in the globalizations. And what I hear about the customer service, which is like Miss Sally and also Miss Anita sharing about the experience, how they're delivering the service for, I mean, for the customer, for the guests, which is to get beyond expectations, to get to make them memorable, and they will come back to our industry, to our property. That one is really, really important, because that one what I did, and I did many times, which is I always delivering beyond the excellent service to my guests, because I'm the butler. Normally, I'm handling, which is like the top level VIP, like CEO, like the Prime Minister, like the royal family, which is mostly, some of them also they are local family. I mean the royal family in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And I agree with Miss Helen, and also with Miss Anita, of course, also Mr. Mohammed, because maybe before I give the question, I had a lot of experience, especially maybe the first sharing about the Uber, because when I'm handling the one guest, which is this guest is coming from the German. He is very, very top VIP, and they are coming in my property, which is only two people. I'm the one, the butler for them. So when they stay in my property, and the most in one times they went they gone out somewhere, which is maybe they just want to enjoy the lunch outside. And at the time when they come back to the hotels, and they met me that, hi Gaddafi, they asked me, Gaddafi, I had problems. Really, I'm very, very I'm very, very really worried, that because I lost my guest, he told me that I lost my glasses, which is the glasses is very, very expensive and limited editions. And this glasses is made by customers, so we cannot buy in everywhere. It's only in one place in German. So that's the reason. And when I asked them, yes, I just showed them the empathize and the sympathy for them, and try to get more information about him. And I just want to ask which place they have visit and which car they have used while during the lunchtime. So when I have got all the informations, and I think it's gonna be impossible, because why? This VIP guest, he lost his special glasses somewhere, and which is he doesn't know, and even me, I don't know where is it. And of course, with I'm trying to do my best, and as you know, I'm trying to contact to all the transportation all the car company, which is that he has used before. And I'm trying to tracking one by one within 2 hours. It's amazing. It is really, really amazing. The glasses, I found it. Even there are a lot of rules that I have to talk with them, because when I talk with the one of the transportation company, it's not. It's not easy to get the information, because when I got this number, I have to go to the next number, because they are using like the operator, and the operator always forward to someone else, to someone else, to someone else. So it's not easy. So within 2 hours, with the procedure that they have, I found these glasses. Absolutely. Of course, when I received these glasses, I show it to my guest. The guest is very, very happy and very satisfied, because unbelievable. I think if we think that, of course, if he lost it somewhere, I believe someone they could not find his stuff. His glass. But in this case, we found it, and then the guest is very, very happy and very, very satisfied. But the question is maybe for Mr. Mohammed. The first question is that why maybe like the transportation agent, the transportation company, they have so many rules to get the information that is to get information, and to get the information which is we have one guest that we stay in one property, and they lost their glasses in the car, actually, because we found it in the car. It's not in the shopping center, or maybe in somewhere, but we found it in the car. So what do you think about the SOP or the policy and the procedure in the Uber that you know about it? The first question, but the next question will be for Miss Selin.
I'm
Yes.
sorry for interrupting you. That's a very interesting story for you, but we have a lot of questions here.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that things. That's very interesting. And then, would you please maybe choose one your most highlight question, and then you can directly ask to one of our speakers. Thank you.
Certainly. The first question is for Mr. Mohammed. Why the transportation company like the Uber, or maybe in another transportation company especially in Middle East like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, they have a lot of procedure to get to give back the item that we that lose. So that one for Mr. Mohammed. The second question for Ms. Celine and Ms. Anit, of course, both of them, they can answer my question. I agree that to learn about the yes.
Yes, thank you so much. But I think please let Mohammed answer the question first because
Certainly.
I'm afraid that maybe he forgot.
Sure. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Let Mr. Mohammed answer. Okay.
No problem. So first of all, thank you for the story. It's really great and good job that you found the glasses. So basically what I want to tell you is that we have actually a lost item policy and we have process and procedures for this one. So basically whenever you lose anything in an Uber, wherever you are, any country, any city, you just need to contact the support and they will call the driver and they will connect both of you. They will share the number if you allowed. If not, they will be the middle man between the driver and the rider, and you guys will switch the items or just take your items from the drivers. It just takes time depending on the country that you're sending from. So basically, if they lost it in Uber, you could just always refer them to send in the app to support, hey guys, we lost X, and they will take it from there. Got it? But good job finding it, actually.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. And maybe Mr. Kadafi, we have shared Celine, Danita, and also Mohammed LinkedIn profile. If you want to ask them more question, you can you can just try to connect with them. And I think they are friendly. They will definitely reply to you and share with you. Thank you so much.
Certainly, you're welcome.
And then here I'd like to this question maybe about the future. Okay, in the future, maybe all of the sectors will be technology based. Every sectors will try to adapt. And how do you assure experience you provide will deliver to the guests through technology? Okay, I think Airbnb and Uber is a high-end company here, high-end technology company here, and I think I'd like to know from Celine.
Sure. Yeah. So for sure, we're seeing more and more tech in the hospitality and tourism fields, and the reason for that is, to scale, to do more with less, and that's what companies are always trying to do. That said, in tourism and hospitality, you are never going to lose that human connection. There's just no way. That's what people come for. That's what they want. That's what they want to experience when they travel. So what we always thought about at Airbnb, and while I was briefly in the product side, I did 9 months in a product role in 2019. What we were thinking about always was, what can we automate? What can we add technology to, either to make our agents' lives easier, to make our guests' lives easier, but without taking away from the connection, really to add to the experience rather than take something away that they could that was previously being done by a human being. So for example, entering a guest list of everyone who's going to be with them in their villa stay, that's something that you don't really need to do with another human being, because you need to spell the names correctly, and it's not really driving any value to do that with another human being. So for that, we were able to put together a form that the guests were able to fill out just with their guest list, any special allergies, their dietary needs, maybe their flight details. And that took a lot of the burden of planning, like a big chunk of time, off of the agents and put it onto our technology, and the information the guests would enter would feed into our system. It would show up on their itinerary. So it was all very integrated. So we were always looking for ways to automate what we could, but keep bespoke and anything that requires problem solving, that requires the human touch, that requires the relationship building, we would keep that with the agents. And for me, that's just not going to change. It's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't mean it's always going to be face-to-face. Like we're able to have a great chat here over the internet, and I do think there's plenty of opportunity, FaceTime for that kind of thing to enter the tourism industry. But I think that no matter how much we scale, no matter how much technology is added, it will always be keeping that human face and keeping that human connection.
Okay, thank you, Celine. Danita, do you have something to be add more in this?
I mean, yeah, everything that Celine described was something that we were so happy to try out in order to drive efficiency and, you know, simplify the things that were eating up too much time, right? So I feel like if you can somehow find a way to use technology, or the company can use technology to the best benefit, then you can save the time and the energy for the people that are doing guest-facing service delivery to do more complex things, to drive the value in those areas as Celine described. So the faster you can adapt to these new systems, because the world is moving fast, the world is changing fast, and you know, some companies have the resources to create and provide this type of technology. Others might not just yet and have to find more creative ways of doing things. But I feel like no matter how you're able to do that, again, doing things in an efficient, simple way so that you can save time in other areas for this connection to continue, right? Because whether it's on email or phone, or now we're starting to get very comfortable with video. I can't even imagine actually speaking with a guest on video in my earlier days, but now it doesn't seem such a foreign concept anymore. So it could be really interesting to see where that takes us. And I mean, connecting on whichever platform is most comfortable for the guest, and just making their life very simple, using technology that will be really, really helpful for you to continue to drive and scale more volume, more revenue, whatever that company wishes to have more of.
Okay, thank you, Danita. Okay, would you agree with Danita? Because Uber is like, yeah, also the high-end technology. Would you agree with Danita, or maybe you have your own opinion about this thing?
Actually, I agree 100% with what she's been saying, because it happens in all companies. So it doesn't matter if it's at Uber or Airbnb. It always matters. It always matters everywhere, you know. So nothing actually to add here. She just covered it perfectly. Thank you, Danita.
Okay, cool, man. Okay, let me see another question here. Maybe one last question before we close this webinar. Okay, let me see it. Oh, maybe from the Celine or Danita or Mohammed, we have several top question lists here. Maybe you can choose which one you want to answer. Okay, please, Vidi, would you please help me to like scroll this up to, or maybe show the question for Celine, maybe. Okay.
Oh yeah, I saw the question from the person who is an introvert that wants to work in the tourism industry, and I would actually love to answer that question as an introvert. So I definitely, I mean, I love talking to people, I love dealing with people, but I'm the type of person who needs to then take a step back and have my own time and just decompress. You know, the definition of an introvert is someone who I think is not necessarily always energized by social interaction. So I do need that time by myself to go and recharge after a busy workday or after a tough conversation. But I think that being an introvert, I do have other skills in terms of like perception and really putting myself in the other person's shoes and really feeling what they're feeling. So I think that has been really helpful to me in just building the connection with my clients and you know, being able to feel on a visceral level where it is they're coming from. So I would say that it's totally possible, it's totally doable to be an introvert and work in this field. It's just important to invest in self-care practices. So again, if you do need to get up and take a walk after a tough interaction or a crazy phone call, you know, you got to do that. You got to take that time for yourself. And one of the other things that I did is I always took an extra interest in kind of our tech side of things. So like Laz mentioned, I was also a subject matter expert for our internal CRM, our customer relationship management tool. So that gave me a little bit of extra focus that was kind of away from that face-to-face, person-to-person thing all the time. So I kind of took on a training role and a role with our system we use Salesforce. So I would keep track of all the bugs, hopefully work with the engineers to solve the bugs, keep track of change requests, try and sneak those in wherever I could. And I found that that was a good outlet for me as well as an introvert to have another area of focus that wasn't strictly that face-to-face guest interaction or even just colleague interaction. So yeah, but it's always being like open to growth and open to change too, because you do have interactions that energize you for sure. And yeah, amazing things that come from interacting with people. So get out of your comfort zone also.
Yeah. Thank you, Celine. And Denita, I saw that you note a lot there. Would you like agree and maybe like you want to add more things about you?
Well, no, I agree with everything, you know, Celine says. Everybody has, you know, their strengths and their comfort zones. And, you know, if something challenges you, it's always an opportunity to grow that skill even more, right? So I feel like that's a terrific way to just get involved and know what you're great at or know what you can develop and continue to be good at. And then you can use those possibly in other areas as well, right? So if you start to notice that you can, you know, pivot to another area because you're great at, you know, what's the word that I want? Listening to guests and understanding what their needs are, to gift giving. Maybe you're really great at curating a really fabulous out-of-the-box experience because you've got really creative brain and you're just full of amazing ideas, right? So everyone has something that they're really, really strong at and things that need to be developed further. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're all built the same inside and we all have things to develop, and this is why we're sharing. This is why we continue to talk to each other. This is why we continue to share our experiences, learn from one another. Learning goes both ways, right? So I feel like that also it's a huge opportunity even now during this pandemic for anyone who is maybe off from school or has been laid off, like myself and some others. This is a great opportunity to connect and learn, right? What can I develop now, knowing what I know and knowing where this might be moving to? So keeping on top of trends, right? And just learning, getting all the access and using the resources. That's always something that I'll continue to say, is using your resources, because you don't know who has something interesting to offer you. You've got to ask, you've got to connect, and you've got to dig a little bit and discover what's out there for you. So I feel like, you know, there's a lot of ways to just navigate through that industry differently, regardless of whether it scares you a little bit. If it scares you, it means you should probably dive into it a little bit, right? Because it's going to excite you. It might even promote something really interesting and new, a change of course, a new direction, a different mindset, or a different perspective. There's so many great things that can come out of diving into new things. So it's important to continue to explore, to be brave, and to just try. And if it didn't work and you don't like it, that's okay. At least you can say that you tried.
Cool. That's very cool from Denita and Celine. Thank you so much for sharing. And then, okay, I think, yeah, we're almost done here, and I'd like to say to everyone here, we're sorry that we can't ask this question to the mentors here, but you can go to their LinkedIn profile, connect with them, ask them, oh, what do you feel, and they will be happy to share with you. And then maybe, oh yeah, at the last session, we will screenshot everyone's here. So please, maybe like you could like touch up and then use your lipstick and yeah, just prepare yourself for the screenshot time. And then maybe for the conclusion, for closing this BVE talk, okay, I'd like to know, what if one word you can tell to everyone here that maybe summarize your journey, your work as a customer in a customer experience field, and maybe it could inspire everyone and could give a personality support for them. Please, I will start with Mohammed.
One word. This is a bit hard, but I would pick ownership. Ownership for me is going to be the one word that I would go for, because if you own the case, or if you own handling a specific customer, you will definitely do everything that you can to please them. So you will be doing everything that's required within your job description, no matter what your job is, in perfect way. So ownership is gonna be the word that I will go for.
Okay, thank you. Ownership from Mohammed, and then from Celine, what is your word that can inspire us? Maybe, yeah, a little bit of stories is fine.
Okay, great. All right, so in the 5 seconds I had to think about that, I'm going to go with stretch. Stretch is the word that summarizes my career. So it's always been about what's a new way I can grow, what's a new opportunity I can take on. You know, when it came to getting into the product tech side of things, that was a big jump for me. I had no experience in it, but it was a really great opportunity to get out of my comfort zone and learn something new. Because I found in my career that like it's not, you don't get a promotion and then start working harder, you know, start doing something different. You do that before you get the promotion or before you get the new opportunity. So for me, it's always been about stretching myself.
Okay, that's cool. That's right. Let's start from Celine. And now from Danita, what is your word?
My word would be authenticity. I feel like that just kind of encompasses just everything about you being your true self all the time, no matter what. Obviously, always honoring yourself, respecting others and yourself, of course, first. But just you show up, deliver, do your absolute best, and be happy with that at the end of the day. And then, you know, if there's a challenge that you faced and, you know, you wish you could do it differently, there's going to be so many more opportunities to do that and change that outcome in the future. So be patient with yourself. But authenticity is my overall word for this moment.
Okay, so that is what's that? Okay, ownership, stretch, and also authenticity. That the 3 words from our speaker here. And okay, I think this is the end of the session, and this is the screenshot time. Okay, so everyone, you can. Oh, okay, sir. Maybe you want to add?
Mrs. Moderator, I would like to give a public service announcement. So this is for the audience. If you've enjoyed this webinar, I'm leaving a link to a quick survey on the chat group. So if you can look at the chat and just fill out the survey for the benefit of our speakers. I'm sure a lot of because during the webinar it's hard to see people's faces. We've been turning off our videos and such. And I think just being able to hear, we'll share this with the speakers after the webinar, just being able to hear your thoughts about you know, the things that they've shared, I think will be enormously rewarding. And for us as organizers, we would like to hear that feedback too as well. So if everyone can just take a second, I guess after we do the screenshot, to just click on that link and leave a review for the webinar and your thoughts. I think us, Bukit Vista, and the speakers and the university would be very, very grateful for that feedback. Okay, speaking of feedback, so back to the moderator, back to Cynthia.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so for everyone here, the link already on the comment section. You can open it, and maybe your feedback will be great for us as well. And then, okay, so let's everyone, you can turn on your camera, and then let me see your face here. Okay. Okay, let me see. Everyone has already. Okay. Yep, I will wait for everyone. No, everyone. Okay, sorry. Okay. Okay. Let's have a. Well, what is that? A screenshot here. Okay. Okay, you can hear that. Say cheese, everyone.
Okay, cheese.
Okay. Is everything done? Okay, I think everything is done and all good. Thank you so much for everyone who is coming and joining for the first BVE talk tonight, because you guys, we are really appreciate your time, and we hope that all the things that the speakers have shared with you, the experience will give a new spirit for you, could inspire you. And we already attached their LinkedIn, so please, after this, you can go to their LinkedIn, connect with them, and maybe make an impression post about them. I think you can also be like popular, because they will have a lot of people that likes your post, and then it's fine to start to open your new word. Okay, so thank you so much for attending tonight. And I think since this is the first time, we're sorry if there is any inconvenience before, but we are trying to fix it. And I hope I could see you guys again with your friends. Share this with your friends on your personal Instagram, on your LinkedIn as well. Tell them that, yeah, I got something to hear when I joined this BVE talk. So maybe we could be more popular again, more famous with us. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you for Danita, Selin, Mohammed for joining us, and also Bapak Nur Yuda Aitana for joining us. Thank you, sir, for giving me the platform to do this. Yeah, I wish you a good night and keep inspiring and delightful. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you all, speakers. Mohammed, Selin, and see you soon, Mr. Jing.
Yeah.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.